Yeah, so welcome everybody. Welcome guys to our shit show. Talking about shit coins. No, we're not. We're talking about Ethereum, which will come as a bit of a shock to many of the hard forking audience, which know this channel is purely Bitcoin. Expanding the narrative a wee bit because I think Ethereum has changed dramatically over the last few years. And personally, I really feel it's time to learn a bit more. And I've got some very knowledgeable people along to help on that journey. Starting top left, Dunstan, welcome along again.
Hey, you.
Stefano, good to see you back from yesterday.
Hello.
And Jordan, our resident shitcoiner and graphic artist, animator, welcome along. And he's frozen on us, has he? Yes. Okay, we'll hope that Jordan pops back. And he's back. Very good, guys.
Hey.
So, topics today. We will be looking at Ethereum, what it is, Ethereum 2.0 specifically, the issue surrounding fees at the moment, DeFi, a term that even if you're not heavily into that space, I'm sure you're hearing a lot of. And if we don't run over time, which is going to be around 30 minutes, we'll maybe touch on NFTs and what they are and why you should know about them. So kicking it off, guys, maybe if we start with you, Stefano, what is Ethereum 2.0?
Well, the 2.0 is in simple the move from POW, so the proof of work, to the POS, so the proof of stake. And in super simple, that means that we are going to say goodbye to the miners. We're going to say goodbye to the hash rate and the machines, the GPU required to mine and all of that things. And stakers, so people that have ETH in their wallets, to be specific, 32 as the minimum required, will be able to be validators. So in super simple terms, they're going to become the new miners. And this, in theory, would allow for scalability and kind of a better use of the entire Ethereum blockchain.
Perfect. I'll throw it over to you, Dunstan, next, but just very quickly, 32 ETH at today's price would equate to, what have we got roughly?
$7,000 USD.
Right. So
much.
you'd effectively lock up $7,000 worth of your money if you wanted to do that, and then would you get a yield from that? Would you be interest effectively?
Yes, you're basically like receiving the yield, like in terms of like the fees that are being generated from the
what
the
percentage
network.
roughly, Stefano?
It's not clear yet because like ideally like the first interaction we're suggesting between like 4 and 7% per year, but initial tests are actually showing that yields will be actually effectively much higher, around like 10 or even 12%. In the long run, we're probably like still going to look at 4-7% range.
Okay, interesting. So obviously compared to a traditional bank account, which is going negative, that's going to be very attractive if it all works. On that note, Dunstan, thoughts on Ethereum 2.0? Is it going to work?
Well, technically, if you move from a proof of works to proof of stakes, a couple of things will change. So, the number one change would be the minor equation in that sense, which also means that the platform, although it might be slightly more scalable, the chances of attacks might be higher though. Although right now there'll be no 51% attack at this point of time. Then another thing to take note is I think most people misunderstand that proof of stake. They believe it to be a technological aspect of the blockchain. Actually, it's more of an economic aspect of the blockchain itself. Literally, what it does is it locks, when you lock your funds in, the people in the blockchain, those that actually hold more Ethereum, and those which are using the Ethereum, they can actually use the resources itself, whether or not it's processing resources or use it as a hedge or use it for investments and so on. So to me, it's more of a economic sense to that.
Okay, I was just having a chat with Jordan before you guys joined us about the next topic here. This guy that has lost millions of dollars while doing a transaction on the Ethereum network, which obviously leads us into the bigger conversation around fees. And Stefano, you run a company, a traditional business, effectively setting up other companies for people. So you use Ethereum in a practical sense on the daily. Could you tell us about what's going on with Ethereum fees currently, how that has affected your business, and give us a bit of context around this guy that's been charged millions of dollars for sending some Ethereum?
Well, so the first thing is that it's not clear if it's like a person that made like such a mistake. Some people were speculating that maybe like is a wallet from an exchange or something like that. But it's true that there was actually like a transfer of $133 worth of ETH, and the gas price, the fees were 2.5 millions. In reality, there were two transactions. From two different wallets with the same 2.5 millions fees. Except for like that, what it means like for a company that is operating on a situation like that, it's bad. Like in very simple terms, it's very, very problematic. You are looking
context around an example from you actually using Ethereum.
Sure. So normally, like what we do when a client comes to us and we set up a so-called smart company, so a company that runs actually on the blockchain, a real entity that runs on the blockchain, we are running around like 65 different transactions. You have like 15 smart contracts that are being deployed. You have like multiple transactions. So it's a very like time-consuming and like powerful deployment that has been done. It's not like a simple transaction like, you know, I transfer you some ETH and that's it. What we're seeing like with such a change in gas price is that like 2-3 months ago, we were, for example, doing all of these transfers and transactions for like $30, $40, $50. Now we're actually looking in a best case scenario at $200. But if I'm looking at like Ethereum gas price nowadays, that is like 30 way in that, which is like the unit for that, we're actually looking at like $450, $460. Yesterday we were like at 40. So we're actually looking at like $500, $600.
Right.
If I'm selling a product, whatever it is, and I have a range on expenses that can go like from $40 to $600.
100% increase in your cost of sales out of nowhere. Did that blindside you, or did you have any?
We're currently like losing on one jurisdiction. Of all the ones that we are selling, on one we're deploying at a loss. We're losing money from clients that are coming. Obviously, we're not gonna stop because like that's gonna like affect us even more. But it is something that if it's going to like continue in the long run, we will have to address that in some way. Maybe like increase prices to the clients, which I'm not a fan of.
Yeah.
But if we're losing hundreds of dollars every single time that we're getting a client, that's not nice.
Yeah, that's very interesting for me to hear, because obviously, as opposed to somebody who's just price speculating in the space, that these sort of issues probably don't mean so much. But you're a real world user of that protocol, of that network. So yeah, that's not good. So Dunstan, any comments around this issue that people are seeing at the moment on Ethereum?
Well, that's the biggest problem actually. Most of the blockchains, because they were following the Bitcoin governance and economic models, it actually doesn't fit them. It fits Bitcoin because Bitcoin doesn't have an owner in a sense. So it definitely need the rewards to keep the miners active and such, where all the different players are rewarded based on what they do for the network. But Ethereum, in a sense, has an owner, or should I say two owners, right? The Ethereum Foundation consensus is also part of an owner and so on. So these are the main drivers of the Ethereum blockchain. Now, with that, and you know, right, with gas fees coming up, these things are just gonna affect the users. Stefano was one of those that were affected. I mean, just imagine, right? If I were an exchange and suddenly that is on the assumption that wallet was an exchange wallet. I have my own suspicions and information regarding that, but
we'd like to hear that, please.
Yeah, but all I can say is that because those two transactions were done, I can be confirmed in saying that Ethereum 2.0 will be rolling out very, very soon. You can make your guess on what I'm trying to allude there, but yeah.
That's the fun thing with Dunstan. He gives me some absolute gems of information. Other times he talks in riddles. So there we go. Jordan, are you actually still with us?
I'm here. I'm just deciding whether I want the red pill or the blue pill.
Take
Take
both,
both,
mate.
man.
Take them both.
Which side of the story done?
Yeah. So you've been very quiet in the corner there. Any questions for the guys?
I'm having bandwidth problems. Sorry.
Okay. We don't need to hear about your problems. You got any questions?
Yeah. No. I mean, yeah, the gas price is affecting everybody for sure. I mean, do you think this will be a chance for like some kind of opportunity, you know, like somebody will jump in with a way to cheapen the gas fees or something? Is that possible even, like technically?
Well, change the blockchain.
No.
I think that'll be the best. Yeah, come to FIDO protocol, man. But yeah.
We'll get to the FIDO protocol soon enough, Dunstan. No you worry. No you worry.
So what, we're looking 2 years before Ethereum fixes it?
I mean, it's a challenge on that because like we get the layers too, which obviously like we're reading a lot about that. And to people that don't know what's a layer 2 is that basically you're using a layer, so an extra things on top that organize and kind of combine transactions all together in a pack, and then push that to the main blockchain of Ethereum. By doing things like that, in theory, you should reduce the congestions of the chain and therefore reducing the gas price. Layer 2s are now like super popular, at least like in the news. OMG taking Tether and Plasma and you name it, like Stark, whatever name it is, ZK thing as well, like all these crazy names that I don't remember, to be honest. But when the problem with that I'm seeing on layer 2 is that it always depends on like the target market that you have. If we're targeting like people like us that are like spending our daily time on the environment, then I'm like, yeah, it's fine. Like we can deal with that. But if I'm taking someone that is like not familiar with layer 1 in the first place, like the simple of Ethereum, it's not easy for a person that I've never used that before. And so let's assume that I have like a client, a random person on the street that is like, oh, you want to use this? Cool. But before you're using this, you actually need to plug in on a completely different network, XDAI and so on. So you can jump into layer 2. And then from there, the system is going to maybe, not sure yet, but sometimes taking care of layer 1 as well. It's tough. Like it's very difficult for someone that is not part of this. And, you know, the UX UI really need to speed up if we want to start being on a usage of layer 2. Otherwise, we need to wait for ETH 2.0 to actually come in place. They are late. Yes, they are. We all know that. They've been postponing that for quite some time. Now it seems that phase 0, it might actually be approached this year, whatever is going to happen. The other problem with that is that phase 0, to at least people that are working in the space that needs to deploy contracts and so on, is not going to change anything, because we need to wait for phase 1.5 to be able to release smart contracts.
Sorry, 1.5? They just couldn't go phase 2? It'll be...
No, it's very simple. It's phase 0, phase 1, phase 1.5, and phase 2. Super easy. No problems whatsoever.
Yep, throw on some tongue twisters like ZK roll-ups and so forth, and yeah, we can all understand. There's no problem. We got it. Yeah. On that note, obviously, DeFi, decentralized finance, that obviously seems to be the hot topic. I'm hearing a huge amount of commentators very excited about that. Could you guys give me a brief rundown of exactly what is DeFi, which projects you recommend myself and the people watching the show should go away and maybe have a look at? Stefano, do you want to start off?
Oh, sure. Okay. Talking all the time, basically. So
You're the probably the main user of Ethereum here. We'll get you and Dunstan having a debate on scaling shortly.
fair enough. So DeFi is decentralized finance. So what does it mean? It's basically like the use of smart contracts to try to replace financial activities that traditionally are handled by banks. So you got swaps. So for example, if you want to exchange one token to another one, you got lend and borrow. So if you want to like put your token into smart contracts, someone can lend them and you're getting like a fee, so an interest out of that. You can borrow for, let's say that you want to like run a trade, or there is like an airdrop happening and you just want to like accumulate a specific token to receive that airdrop. You might borrow from someone and then like pay their fees for that. We're starting seeing like DeFi entering also like the cards space. So for example, companies like Adu or Token Card are pushing a lot their marketing and communication around like, we are a DeFi first company. What does in super simple DeFi means, or like does, is kind of like that thing of, instead of having a bank account, you can have a wallet. But your bank can do so much more than having like a simple saving account. You can get interest, you can buy stocks, you can buy financial products. You can have a card that you can pay, you can wire money here and there. Your wallet can do some of those things. You can transfer the money, so the same as a wire transfer. You can keep them like a saving account. For all the other part of the financial industry, that's where DeFi comes in. Some names in the space, I think that like right now, the one that is creating the biggest noise is Compound, which is having the airdrop of their governance token. But nowadays you have like so many DeFi projects that are coming up. Synthetics is like another thing. Like let's say that you want to like put your token in, collateralize that, going like into heavy financial products. The bonding curve from Aragon or from Bancor, those are all things that in one way or another can be plugged into the DeFi universe. The main idea for a user that doesn't understand that or doesn't care too much, I think that it will be your bank, as you were mentioning, your bank is giving you 0% interest rate. If you're jumping into DeFi, you can actually look at earning a much higher interest rate. Right now, of course, is more risky. But in the long run, if we assume that things are going to be more stable, more secure, better, and so on, we might actually get to a point where users are going to be rewarded for their economical value in a much better way than what like a traditional financial institution would do.
Okay. Excellent. You've described that very well. Dunstan, anything to add?
I think I'll rather our friend below add some stuff before I say my view. Actually,
is that
you want him to add more, George?
Yep,
Jordan,
definitely.
Jordan, do you want to tell us what you?
He's
what
the same ball brother, man.
what your rating on the DeFi front, or in general in the Ethereum ecospace that you think people should know about?
Well, currently, I would say right now, number one is crypto.com. It's running on Ethereum, like MCO token is on Ethereum and also Crow, but they're working towards migrating off of it. But it seems like they have a pretty seamless, like, you download the app, interest, it's all like, you can't even see the Ethereum behind it, right? And it all works pretty good. Like it has all that stuff Stefano was talking about, interest, borrowing, lending,
I think Toon Vase is doing one of his scam shows on that project, so that'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah, man. I tried to set him up. I tried to see if you could host it, but of course he didn't want neutral territory.
Yeah, moving swiftly on.
Crypto.com is not DeFi, actually. It's very centralized on that. It's a perfect example. I agree on that. It's a perfect example on how DeFi works, like the features of DeFi, but it's not DeFi, except for like their wallet, the one that they launched lately, that is like your key and so on. But that wallet per se doesn't have any feature right now. It's just like storing your BTC and MCO.
Yeah. Okay.
That was something I was going to ask you guys. You know, like DeFi is much like centralization, right? Like there's levels, right? Is it fully decentralized? You know, where it's like maybe, you know, like everything is completely decentralized by all the rules of crypto. But then there's actually a business that has a product. Certain aspects are decentralized, other aspects aren't decentralized. You know, so there's kind of like, I think there should be some kind of DeFi scale.
I agree. I think that the big question is going to be like, even if I deploy a smart contract, I can have the keys to access that contract back. Like, does that make it's a big topic, obviously, but does that make it like decentralized or not if I actually have the keys and I can reaccess a contract? Now, who knows who has the keys of a specific contract or not? Just because I claim I don't have those keys, is it actually true or not? I agree. It opens up so many bigger questions on like trust and like definitions at that point.
Yeah,
also means you don't have to have a call center, right? So there's no customer service if you're completely decentralized.
True. There's a, you know, I'm involved with a couple of communities that are utility.
Coinbase, you're not decentralized. Can you please answer my emails? You freaking screw that company. You know what? I saw they were selling everyone's data. I mean, the customer service of that crowd is just. I'm on your side now, Dunstan. I'm not a lover of Coinbase.
Well, I did start the hashtag delete Coinbase, right? But yeah,
that's some utterly awful customer service from those guys.
No, I am waiting for all of you to like put on your social media, you know, hashtag delete Coinbase. But
okay, I'll do that after this.
Okay, where were we? I'm not being a good host. I'm sidetracking us here. Right, we've looked at Ethereum 2.0, DeFi. I'm starting to wrap my head around it. I mean, obviously, you've mentioned crypto.com. I understand what Stefano's saying about that not really being a decentralized project. Jordan, any other projects that that you think you know as a you're more of an investor, I would say, in this space?
There's two other projects that I invest in, I hold, I use. One is called like Genesis Vision, which is it's like an asset management. You make funds and stuff like that, and it's decentralized completely. Like all the transactions, the trading is all on the blockchain, you know. And what I've noticed with that project is a lot of traders suck. It's all hype. Traders on there, and they have good runs, and then they get wrecked. Like I've been trading on it, you can see it. I get wrecked. You know, it's like people just ride the market. There's so much bullshit in the trading on Twitter. Like, oh my goodness. And this Genesis Vision totally, at the same time, it's like the strength, but I think it's also the weakness because people are going to realize you can't make money trading. You know, all the money comes in like funds, longer term vision, you know, like actually investing in stuff and waiting for it to grow. Otherwise, you're just gambling.
So as an investor, I mean, you know, we don't want to go down the 5 coins to $5 billion route here, but very quickly, do you want to? You've been telling me about altcoins for years now, and that it's tended to go in one ear and out the other. But I think the space is a lot more mature now. What excites you? What have you got in your portfolio?
Well, yeah, GBT, Crypto.com. Like they have MCO and Crow, but also there's this other one called HVN, Hive Terminal, and it's about invoice factoring, right? Which is a giant business, and all across Europe allows medium-sized investors to sell their invoices to the platform, and then invoice buyers buy the platform at a discount. They take on the risk, so you get liquidity for the small businesses, and they were testing it in Slovenia. It's been working for like over a year and a half now, and you see them like do the next step, and it's such stark contrast to most shitcoins where, you know, it's all hype partnerships and shit, and then, you know, the price pumps and
not a nice boring factoring company, an accountancy firm on the blockchain. That's I could see something like that doing very well.
It's a cash cow.
Well, it's a real business, right? And they focused on building the business, and it uses Ethereum, right? And they have decentralized aspects to it, but there's some really non-decentralized aspects to it, you know? So for me, it always comes back to this, like, it's DeFi, but it's kind of DeFi, not really. There's different, so I don't think there's a perfect DeFi project yet, you know?
Okay.
I mean, That's like
I,
Bitcoin. Is it perfectly decentralized? Will it ever be? Not really. It's like a struggle for this like utopic term that's never really going to happen. If you don't have a business behind the project, then more often than not it'll flail with like, you know, resources or marketing or any other terms or any other things that can like drop a coin. You know, there's so many variables.
Yeah.
So it's best tech, no marketing, right? No marketing, good community. You know, there's so many different things that have to work together to get a project to work.
Yep.
So for somebody like myself, guys, I mean, you know, obviously, as you all know, I've been pretty much exclusively a Bitcoin media brand, digital agency. We're sort of branching out there now. But you know, for me to understanding Ethereum, obviously, it's coming fairly quickly with you know years and Bitcoin. But the DeFi aspect of Ethereum, I guess that really is just sort of one aspect, isn't it, Stefan? When I look at a company like yours, you maybe give us a very brief rundown of what your company does and how you use the Ethereum network. That's not really, you know, there's all these different aspects to what is happening in Ethereum. So if you can give us some context around how you use Ethereum for your company.
Absolutely. So it's pretty simple. What we do is that we create companies. So you want to set up a business, a private limited entity, we do that. And the way that we do that is by automating as much as possible of the functions that were run by an incorporation agent via smart contracts. So we tokenize the shares. The shares of your company are the tokens that are running on Ethereum. Your wallet represents your identity on a private decentralized application that is accessible only to addresses that are verified. And therefore, basically, those are the shareholders. And shareholders are capable at that point through a decentralized application and by using smart contracts to interact and making decision of their company. So if they want to like transfer shares between one shareholder and another, having a board meeting, decide if there is going to be an issue of dividends because the year was very good. If they want to like do a merger and acquisition, track some of their financials, uploading documents and ensuring that all the shareholders are transparent and they know what is happening. We simply use Ethereum to ensure all of those things. We have no aspects of DeFi whatsoever. We're not like playing with like financials or anything like that. It's very simple corporate governance in reality.
So when the Bitcoiners sort of scream at me for even covering things outside of Bitcoin, I mean, look, I've been one of those people screaming myself. I've been very much a Bitcoin maximalist, but it's in many ways sort of talking to you, what is it now, probably a couple of years ago, and really hearing that different perspective. Well, I couldn't have done this on Bitcoin. That for me is sort of really leading me down that path to want to understand more of what is happening in the Ethereum space. Obviously, the BSV crowd are screaming at their computers right now, going, "Well, you can do that on BSV." I mean, that is something we will be looking at moving down the line. I think you mentioned to me there is actually a project on Ethereum at the moment that is moving across to
the gaming one,
something on Engine.
It's so sorry, yeah. Well, but Engine is on Ethereum,
yep.
So it was running on Engine. It's a gaming company that has moved on SV, and the reason why they did is exactly for that. The gas price is too high. One thing on that I think like is very important. We are a company that obviously like we get paid to set up a company. So we have a set of smart contracts that goes out in one shot and clients pays for that. But there are projects, I'm thinking about like social media, such as like Publish 0x, or projects where like the user can start interacting without having to pay, like Entiv, where like you have like fractional ownership of non-fungible tokens. Like all of those projects, the gas is actually paying by the owner of the projects. The user doesn't pay anything. Another example that is very famous on the DeFi world is a real.co, where you're actually buying a fraction of a house, and they're sending stable coins that are equivalent to the rent. normally in the past, they were doing that every single day. So every day you were receiving your fraction of your rent for the part of the house that you were owning. Now, because of the gas price, they were obliged of doing that once every 3 days. It seems nothing, because like if you're thinking about like, oh, the rent normally comes like once a month, I'm receiving that every 3 days, it's much better. But when you're like obliged of like doing and moving from like 1 day to 3 days per transfer, it means that like companies are really starting bleeding. And obviously businesses are starting looking at other options. Back in the days, we
Are
had
you
like,
one of those businesses?
right now, no,
Are you
because
like,
no, yeah, but like we got so many people asking us, why don't you move on EOS? Why don't you move on Tron? Why don't you move on blah, 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 whatever, you name it. And my answer was always the same, because right now the ecosystem is on Ethereum, because the UX UI of the option of bringing people that are not familiar of blockchain into the blockchain space, it's better on Ethereum. Think about like softwares like Portis, setting up an account like this in the same way that I would sign up on Facebook. And 3, well, there was nothing on the other platforms. Oh yeah, but smart contracts are going to be launched soon. Cool. When soon is going to happen, then I can take a look at that, because right now I can't do anything there. And now we're actually seeing this. If 2.0 is not going to come soon, companies are going to be obliged of going somewhere else, because they're going to have to decide, either I'm going to go out of business to support the idea of Ethereum, or I need to go away because I need to save my business. I'm not married to any blockchain. I just go to the best for the clients, for the end user. And whatever that is, I'm going there. Right now, it's still Ethereum for me. I don't know what is going to happen in 6 months from now.
I can see Dunstan in the bottom right-hand corner now. I don't know how you move there from the top left, but he's got a big smile on his face. If you want to unmute yourself, Dunstan, and give us your thoughts around that. And yes, we will have a look at the project you're working on, FIDO, in possibly our next episode. But yeah, give us your thoughts around what Stefano's had to say there, and we'll sort of slowly wrap things up, guys.
Well, technically, what I feel is that most major blockchains out there, they have governance issues. They have. Can you hear me now? Cool. Yep. Yeah. They have like most blockchains, major blockchains out there, they have governance issues. They have consensus issues, and most of them can't even scale. The reason why the gas fees are so expensive is because these blockchains are not scaling at all. So in order to pay to be able to verify the blocks and the transactions and so on, they need huge they need a huge hash power in a sense. So that is the biggest reason why businesses are paying so much for smart contracts, and obviously Ethereum ain't only the smart contract blockchain out there. There are so many others like EOS and Tron and so on, but most of them have governance issues. If it's gonna be EOS, I wouldn't dare put my business on EOS, because they can shut down my wallets anytime, anywhere, should they want to. Now, this is even worse than not having your private keys.
Are you trying to tell me they haven't deployed their $4 billion well?
How many times have you started EOS?
Well, if you'll notice, right, even their social media blockchain, right, called Voice, is not willing to use EOS. Their fund invested in Voice, and Voice is not using EOS.
Classic.
Yeah.
Holy moly. I didn't know about this, actually.
Yeah. Our flagship app won't even use our own blockchain.
Yep. Yeah. The best app in EOS wouldn't even use EOS. It's just like the best app on Tron. The one of the most expensive thing that Justin bought is actually BitTorrent, and BitTorrent refused to use the Tron network because the Tron CTO left the Tron network because he knew the critical errors are compiling on the network right now, accumulating at every second.
My goodness. All right, guys. So, So I'm not sure how I'm coming away from effectively.
So he just unplugged the Pandora box, and you were about to say, "Okay, cool, let's end it here."
No. You didn't let me finish there. I'm not sure where I'm coming away from. So,
Well, the network wars, man.
Julian
That's what's
Ethan
coming.
Starting with all these bombs getting dropped.
Well, I mean, it's the network wars, right? No network is perfect yet. Everybody's looking to be the early adopter, right? So far, ETH is there, but they have a real potential of losing it with all the gas fees problems, right? And then deploying ETH 2.0, it's either going to dump or it's going to moon.
No, but so just imagine this.
To wait for it? I don't know.
Yeah, but you imagine, right? Think of like there might be 20,000-30,000 over projects that's on the Ethereum blockchain right now.
More of 1 million tokens.
Yeah, and let's not talk about the other tokens that are dead. We just talk about those active ones out there. But even then, right, what's going to happen to their economic model when Ethereum moves from proof of work to proof of stakes? What's going to happen to them?
I have no idea. I'm hoping you guys can tell me.
It's a tough one.
I need to learn how to start a token migration service.
Technically, it's not gonna like be very complicated at all, because like they're basically like trying, at least from the documents that they're pushing out, it should be as easy, air bracket as per usual, as updating a version of Truffle or updating the version of Solidity and so on. Which, if it's true, if they really got to that point, all the developers are going to be fine. Like we have to update like either Truffle or Solidity every 3-4 months. So like it's pretty common. That's part of the game on that. If on the other side, you get to in a situation where like, oh, you need to redeploy 50% of your work, then we're screwed. In a very simple way. I have no idea how is that going to be possible, but I don't think it's going to happen. However, I really doubt, because they're trying to be very, very clear that it's going to come in phase 1.5, and the reason why it's going to come later and not immediately on phase 0 is exactly because they want to be sure that that transaction is going to be like as smooth as possible.
So
only time will tell.
Well, on that note, Stefano, on that time note, 1 year from now, could you tell me, and I'm going to ask you, all of you guys, the same question, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being absolute utopia, everything goes brilliantly, the price of Ethereum takes off, there's projects all building left, right, and center on it. 1 being it completely crashes, gas fees just get out of hand, and the whole thing implodes. Year from now, scale of 1 to 10. Give us your rating. What's your confidence?
I believe 1 year from now is going to be probably almost the same as now in terms of like usability and everything. But I do expect the traders part of that to be more interested, because I do believe that in 1 year from now, we're going to have phase 0. So phase 0 should be there within 1 year, which means that people are going to be able to start staking. So I'm assuming that people are going to start preparing the bags for actually like buying those 32 ETH. We always talk about like the run to like getting 1 BTC. 32 ETH is actually less expensive than the 1 BTC right now.
Yeah.
So I do expect that. But in terms of the usability and everything, to be honest, it's going to be exactly the same. Because migrating... In reality, yeah, migrating to another blockchain is not a piece of cake. It's not something that you do like, oh, I wake up and like in a month, I'm like, boom, I'm working on a completely different blockchain. It's going to take you like 6, 7. I mean, we saw the companies that have done ICO, how long they took to deploy projects to bring that to market. Tell those companies now that have been working on that for like 2, 3, 4 years, hey, start migrating on a completely different blockchain. Are they going to stop everything and work on something else for 4 years? Like, no, they're just going to wait at that point. But because they're going to wait and phase 0 is there, the problem is not solved. So the ecosystem is going to be exactly the same at that point. So I really, 1 year from now, we're probably going to talk about the same exact issue. The gas price is still super high. Like, I don't know.
Okay, so shall I go back to Bitcoin and we can do the next Ethereum show in a year? Dunstan,
Can I ask a question?
your thoughts 1 year from now.
No,
Where
no,
are we
no.
at?
I'm gonna leave it to
Profits.
my brother over there first, actually. Yeah, I bet he
Yeah, I
has
was just
some
gonna ask a
interesting
question.
insights.
What do you guys think about, you know, the deployment of like oracles and Chainlink and stuff? How that's going to affect everything? You know, getting traditional markets and traditional businesses onto the blockchain. Like, is that just going to kill all the gas fees if they bring all that stuff on? Like, you start getting way more business from like, you know, all these huge partnerships that are supposed to be happening, right? If all these transactions start happening, is it just going to kill the network even more? Is it going to be this
Yes,
rate
actually.
Very
like
good question.
where the
So
adoption is going to crash the fees before they can implement it, and it's just all going to like crater, or are they just going to stay one step ahead of it? You know, like
okay, so technically, let's talk about oracles on blockchains. Actually, oracles are more like signposts to data. They are not actually the real storage of data, and that might be a huge flaw in architecture when it comes to using blockchain tech. Actually, it is a shortcut to scalability. I don't think that would be an awesome way, but the reason why Chainlink is doing so well is because it's using like Google Oracles. Obviously, Google will support it, right? And traditional business like that because Google is in and so on. But it actually doesn't help when it is not even a blockchain in a sense to begin with. Actually, in that sense. Now,
no.
yeah. So which
There
also
was
means that it's not really a solution. It's more like a band-aid. Similarly, when you like moving from proof of works to proof of stakes for any blockchain out there is like a band-aid. You know why I know that? Because 3 years ago, we took the Ethereum blockchain and we went to try to scale it ourselves. We built the plasma network. We had master nodes already. We had proof of stakes. I can show the codes, man. I can even show the GitHub. It's 3 years ago. Yeah, we even had like mega blocks for the whole network.
You're
And we
talking about
tried it.
your project FIDO at the moment, eh?
No, actually, our proof of concept, we were
Okay.
testing using Ethereum first, actually. So when we did that, when we scaled Ethereum 3 years ago, like what they are trying to do right now in 2.0. So, so what happens is this: we found out that at the end, right, these mega blocks will be the killer of the whole network because the larger your blocks are, the larger the data, the more problematic the compression and decompression is going to be, and that will affect the speed of transactions and so on. Yeah, which also means that that is not a scaling mechanism. Proof of stake sharding doesn't really, it does help in a certain sense, but it doesn't magnify the transaction scale, which also means that the blockchain is not going to scale that much. So this was why, to me, is these are band-aid solutions to our current problems, including using oracles.
Jordan, does that answer your question?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I
Are
never really
are
thought of
you
Chainlink
selling
as
your
a
Chainlink then?
scaling solution. No. There's like this connection between like all these businesses in the world and all this economy that aren't on the blockchain, you know, and you need a band-aid because
Yeah.
all these businesses, like all these established places are just like, hey, let's start a blockchain tomorrow. Like you guys have talked about how difficult it is, right? So it seems like the perfect segue, like, okay, well, we can put our accounting department on the blockchain and they pick one, right? They have all their traditional stuff that they need to get in there and you have the security and like the efficiency and the cost saving. So I just see it as like, you know, this like middleware, and everybody's like, oh, it's fucking vaporware and middleware, but it's needed to until the world becomes on the blockchain, you know. You're
It
gonna
is.
migrate all these old legacy businesses, right?
It
Just seems
is,
like
but
an
like,
essential.
if I can add a thing on that, because I was like on a meeting with public people. Let's leave it like there. For one thing that we're trying to do that in the future, but whatever, without going like into too details. But a very simple thing is that like what we have like on our dashboard is the fact that we use an oracle because we're plugging like the value of ETH in either USD or Euro, and obviously like we update that every hour to ensure that we're not like sending too many calls. And there is obviously like not a big need to like knowing the price of ETH at every single second for what we're doing. In that specific call, the answer that I got, and we're talking about regulators that wrote laws about stuff like this. And the answer that the question that I got when I was like explaining the features of our dashboard was like, how do you plug? Like, how do you calculate how do you do this? Like how the ETH is being converting in USD and Euro. And I was like, that's an Oracle. Like it's a pretty straightforward thing. But the point of that is that like if the people that technically like in the traditional board are the ones that are making the decision, are not even aware of what an Oracle is, then I agree on the theory that obviously like, there is that need for like the traditional industry to come into that, and Oracle plays like a super important role on that. But if the people that are on the top don't know about that, then aren't we like super soon in the conversation of like, you know, getting that actually being a mass adoption level on something like that?
Yeah, I think we're getting really close, don't you? I mean, it seems like there's so many businesses. It's like, and it's just kind of accelerated since COVID. It feels like, you know, you're getting more and more blockchain use, like big businesses and governments, and there's like, it feels like it's starting to pick up steam. I don't know.
It's true, but like how much is that brand and marketing and how much is real? Like once COVID-19 is gonna like, we got a vaccine, we're going back to normal or the new normal or whatever it's gonna be. But like we got back on like not talking about COVID-19 anymore. Is all of that gonna like being left out and be like, yeah, it was very cool, or is it actually gonna like gain traction on that? Because that's like what worried me a lot. Like we start having, yeah, please.
Yeah, so that's the biggest problem right now. Actually, most of the enterprises right now, right, they are doing POCs with quite a bit of the major blockchains out there, but many of these POCs, based on these based on data from like accounting firms and so on. I don't want to say which these accounting firms are.
It's
but
the big four. I've read all those.
Some.
Pick one of the big four.
Yeah, pick anything you want, but just yeah, it didn't come from me. But yeah, so what happens is most of these POCs have failed because firstly, right, enterprises doesn't understand blockchain tech. I mean, what they are hearing, right, it's like a miracle drug for like enterprises and so on. And most blockchain developers actually don't even develop blockchain solutions. What they do is they copy off another code from somewhere, they fork it, and you know, that's it. So they don't even understand blockchain architecture. And the worst is, most of these companies, they've gone to the branded blockchain companies out there, but yet these are not the ones that have built solutions that have lasted for 2 to 3 years. You see the big disconnect somewhere. Yeah, so they are actually getting solutions that don't work, or it looks like it works in the first maybe
Well,
say
I mean, a lot of them
2
are
months.
these consortium type blockchains, aren't they?
Yep.
That's
and most of these are
reality.
like fork of Hyperledger or something like that. Yep. You see the BSN network, the China network, supposed to be the largest one because it's invested by China Mobile and so on. And yeah, so the BSN network, right, is actually pretty much a fork of Hyperledger.
What is the DCEP going to be a fork of? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, and Tron, and Tron was a fork of NXT.
Oh yeah, right. Crazy.
NXT has a special place in my heart. NXT.
Yeah, a special bad place actually, since they don't know how to do marketing. There's a community group, and most people don't even understand how to unpack their modules.
That was a fun ride in 2017 on NXT. They do admit. Had no idea what it did, but it was some fun number god. Okay, guys, we've our half an hour show is now blown out to an hour. Yeah, well,
our fault.
Well, look, I mean, you know, I guess there's so much territory to cover in Ethereum, so we'll certainly be doing this again. On that note, what would you recommend I go away and really sort of immerse myself into to help get up to speed? It's, you know, you've been a great help leading into this show and the show we did yesterday. Stefano, if you guys haven't seen that, please check that out. We did a bit of a run through of the history of alts and coming up to the launch of Ethereum. Quite basic, so definitely something you could maybe share around to friends who are just learning about the space. I certainly want to have a much closer look at what is happening in Ethereum, and it'd be great to do that again with you guys. What do you think we achieved today, and what do you think are the other subjects we should look at in the next show?
Hey, Sean, I have an idea. I wanted to ask Dunstan about some history of altcoins. Did he say...
we're trying to wrap up today, Jordan. Okay.
I know, but I got to ask him. Did you just say that you programmed one of the first masternodes?
Well, we actually programmed masternodes on Ethereum 3 years ago. I can show you the GitHub actually.
Oh, okay. Because we're doing this history thing, right? And one of the things is Dash as like the first masternode coin. Just wanted to hear your take on that. Yeah.
I think we better take that offline.
Okay, that sounds good. That sounds great.
Very brief description of a masternode for the audience, please.
Well, one of you do it, man.
It's on you,
It'll be a lot
Dunstan.
easier. Well, I would prefer to use it more like a economic version. Think of it as giving you better control over transactions. That's one. But more importantly, it gives you the right and the ability to stake your tokens on a network.
Could you maybe compare it to running your own node in Ethereum? In Bitcoin, something we hear a lot from the hardcore maximalist. Be running a node.
Well, you can run your own node on Bitcoin, but most probably you wouldn't be a Bitcoin miner. So even if you run your own node, right, you wouldn't be able to receive the economic value to that. Only the miners receive that. But when you're running a master node, you would be able to receive that economic value.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is what staking is.
Yeah, pretty much think of it as a savings plan, and you get dividends out of it and so on.
Okay.
That's the easiest way, I guess.
So should I run out and stake 32 ETH? I'm coming away from this conversation probably more confused about whether I should do that or not.
You cannot do it now, so like you can't do anything right now. You can buy 32 ETH if you want, but you just do nothing.
So Dunstan for the audience,
or you can
own one Bitcoin or stake 32 ETH. What are you doing? What are you telling people? Not financial advice, by the way. It's just us having a chat.
I'm a Bitcoin maximalist, so it's obviously what I was saying, man.
All right, you're going with the Bitcoin. Jordan, if you had to pick between a Bitcoin and 32 ETH, which are you taking?
Ooh. Well, at the current situation, 32 ETH, and I'd put it into Uniswap.
Okay.
Turn it into.
That's Stefano.
Just
gun to your head.
32 bet.
Sorry?
No, seriously. You put 32 ETH in, 30 will be a scam, and 2 will go like 5,000x.
Nice.
That is too like high rock and roll for me. Like, let's put it like that. Like, I don't think I can survive that type of ride, to be honest.
Welcome to the early old days, man.
I know it's happening again, right?
Yeah,
it's crazy. It seems like all is happening in these micro caps. They totally like, well, we'll get the mid caps later.
I can tell Stefano doesn't want me to put him on the spot on that question. So I'm not
Oh, no. I can answer. Sorry, I was just like going in order. So if you want that answer, I think that obviously it depends. That's the problem with that. So if I am someone that wants to enter today, and I have no interest whatsoever on looking beyond my nose, then I would actually pick one Bitcoin, to be honest. If I'm looking at someone that is passionate about tech, someone that is passionate about this industry, someone that wants to like understand more, and kind of just not going like at the roulette at the casino and just like throwing on red on or black. And I'm actually thinking about something for the next 2-3 years type of thing. Then I'm definitely gonna go for ETH. But it depends on the type of person that you are. Like if you're one of the majority of the individual that like hurts blockchain and is like, oh, it's a scam, or oh, mooning, or oh, 1000x, just buy one Bitcoin, sit down, look at your chart every day, do projections with your grandma, and be happy. But if you actually want to like put a real understanding and like kind of having fun in reality, you know, meeting people, discussing, using things and like experimenting, kind of like do a little bit of like dirty hands on like on the industry and everything, then get 32 ETH and start accumulating and start learning on that.
Yeah, I think there's probably, as you say, I think there's maybe a lot more action happening in Ethereum. Well, I know there is. I mean, my day started with one of the hard forking teams sending me a message going, God, Bitcoin's boring. And I guess he's just he's a hodler, you know, price is going sideways. You know, the fact that he's probably up 500% is somewhat lost on him now in a short space of time. So,
I mean,
unless it has these dramatic moves, all of a sudden it's boring. But I guess
I think that if you can, you should aim for both in reality.
Yes, that's going to be my strategy.
That's what I'm doing. I've got one, and I'm using my trading profits to get the others.
But in reality, you're just like spending all of them on Uniswap because you're still looking for the other two, and you are currently at 28. And like,
okay, well, I don't know what Uniswap is, so that's something for me to go away and have a look at.
Uniswap is a super cool thing.
Yes.
Okay, maybe Uniswap and NFTs can be something for our next chat, guys.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Well, we've run well over time here, so we'll look to wrap it up for today. But we'll certainly be doing this again next week. As I say, if you didn't see our show with myself and Stefano yesterday, giving a bit of a run through of the history of alts, please check that out.
Don't be too harsh, please.
Coming up, sorry, what was that?
Don't be too harsh, please.
Oh, no,
I was not too perfect on everything.
Yep, and coming up Monday, we've got our regular trading show with Lisa. I'm starting to learn how that whole game works a lot better. Also this week, we've got Giacomo Zucco, the ultimate toxic Bitcoin maximalist. I think, Dunstan, you're quite keen to join that chat. It's going to be a goodie. And also episode 2 of the Hard Fork series, very exciting guest, which you'll find out who that is next week. So thank you for joining us. All you hardcore Bitcoiners and BSV supporters, looking forward to that's about to be slung for talking about Ethereum and other projects. Bring it on. All right, guys, thanks very, very much for your time. And we're about to enjoy being released from COVID lockdown. It's been months and months and months for us. Fist pumping. Come on, Dunstan.
Yes. It doesn't change my life, bro. I'm always in front of my computer before COVID, right? It doesn't affect me.
I was the king of lockdown before it was cool, man. That I've been locked down for 7 years.
See,
right.
Animation.
I could actually grow a beard if I wanted to, man.
Yeah, you're looking good. You're looking good. You're getting there.
I haven't had a haircut for about 4.5 months, so I think I might go.
This is 3 days.
All right, guys. Absolute pleasure. Lots of fun. And
likewise.
We'll do this again next week.
Thanks so much. Cool.
Thank you.
Guys.
See you, boys.
Take care.
See you guys. Later.